I'm Chef Terry Reese, and this is Tips, Tricks, and Techniques. At the dinner table, meaningful conversations about school, work, and life support children and encourage them to succeed. Parent University and Believe to Become are proud to support our show today. Hi, I'm Chef Terry Reese, and this is Tips, Tricks, and Techniques, a show where we're going to teach you how to cook like a professional chef at home. Today we're going to be focusing on knives and all those knives that are in your drawer that you wonder, what am I supposed to be doing with that? We're going to be making a farmer's market chicken salad. So first off, I've got to get my chicken going here, and then we can focus on the knives. I have a pan that's been heating up, and I have a little bit of extra virgin olive oil, one of my favorite, that I'm going to put in there. And I'm going to add a couple of chicken breasts in and let them just cook while we're doing everything that we have. These are nice and large chicken breasts, so they're going to take a little bit of time, and I'm going to let them go. Over here, I have a plethora, I like that word, that's a great word, of vegetables. I have some knives, and I have some bread. And I'm always asked, what knife should I use for what item? Well, I think my favorite knife used to be this little paring knife before I got to culinary school. And after culinary school, the chef knife became my favorite knife. So, in your drawers, you might have all kinds of different knives. I have probably 20 or 30 that I've collected over the years, but I generally use these 4 knives. You always want to make sure that you have your knives pointing away from you. I know, pretty silly, huh? You would think that's easy. And you want to make sure that you hold it correctly. When you're holding a knife, you want to grip it, you want to have your thumb up over the top, and you want to have a nice tight grip. You don't hold it like this, and you don't point your finger with it. Actually, when you do this, it messes up a technical term called a fulcrum, which is the only engineering term I know, which means your leverage is out. So I hold my knife with a nice steady grip, and what I try to do at all times is to keep the knife tip on the board when I'm cutting so that I can get a nice rocking motion when I cut. The other thing that I like to do is keep my fingers away from the knife. And if you notice, I don't have any nails really, because if I go like this and I'm cutting, you got the idea. So make a little shelf, you can cut this way. So I have some beautiful lettuce here from the farmer's market, and I know a lot of people say you shouldn't cut your lettuce, but since we're going to be eating this right away, I'm going to get this taken care of here. And so I cut my lettuce in half so I have piece parts of what I'm using that I can handle easily. If you try to cut all of this, you're just not going to get it. So I'm going to go ahead and slice this up into some nice little bits, and you want them in bite-sized pieces. Nothing is worse than getting a piece of lettuce like this on your plate and going, I know that was really pretty, but it's really true. So the other thing I can do with my knife is protect my hand and just kind of chop through it. Now I did one part of it, and I'm going to go reach here and get my salad spinner, which is one of those fun little items to get the water out. Pile that up, and I'm going to cut the rest of it. Now this will take some practice. I remember being in a skills class and practicing because this didn't come natural to me because I just learned how to cut any old way. So now I got that for the base of my salad. And what I'm going to do is spin it to get my lettuce a little drier, because who wants wet lettuce? I mean, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And these are kind of fun. If you don't have this, paper towel or a towel will do. It doesn't really matter whatsoever. We'll let that go. I'll set it up there while it's going, and I'll move on. Some of the items I want to put in my salad are cucumbers. Now you can cut cucumbers in multiple different ways. And I, again, am going to use my chef's knife. I know a lot of people who won't use a chef knife. Friends of mine go, oh, I learned how to do this with a paring knife, so I'm going to stay with that. Well, you can do that, but it takes just a little bit of time. With a chef's knife, you can cut the end off, and then what you can do is slice down the center. Now, one of the things when you're using knives is to make sure that you have a flat surface. You don't want to cut this way. You don't want the roly-polies going on. What you want is a surface where it's flat and nothing will move away. Now, I want some bite-sized pieces, so I'm going to slice it in half again, and then go ahead here. Now, my hands are kind of tiny. Some people have big hands and can grab everything, but I'm going to adjust because my hands are, well, short and stubby. Again, tip on the board, and then I'm going to slice through. And then I get some beautiful little slices. If a few things get in the way, that's okay. This is your salad. And there's always a sound that's going on. That's okay too. Now, if you notice, I just took a little step. I don't want to crunch up over here too much. I just want to go with the flow, make sure that I've got enough space so that I can cut this. So there we go. We got that part done. And let's see how my lettuce turned out. Got a lot of water out. And I'm going to just turn that over and just set it up. Kind of mix it up. And now I'm going to make layers on my salad so it presents beautifully. We'll go this way. And summertime in Michigan is the best time to get produce. I mean, I really do not like buying produce other times of the year because it's just not fresh. So now one of the other knives, and I'm going to clean my board off with a towel. You always want to have a nice, clean work area. Get these little crumbs out here. Go over there, check my chicken while I'm over there. It's got a little bit more to go on that side. So now I'm going to cut a tomato. Now with a tomato, I use two different knives sometimes. Sometimes I use my paring knife, and then I like to use a Santoku knife. I hold my Santoku exactly like I held my chef's knife. The Santoku knife has these little ridges on them, and it creates an air pocket so things fall over. It's good for slicing cheeses and tomatoes. Now, some of my friends love using a serrated knife with their tomatoes, but I chose to go ahead and use my Santoku. But one of the things I like to do is remove the core. A lot of times I was taught just to go ahead and cut straight through, remove the core, and leave it out. Well, when you're doing that, you're wasting about a third of your tomato. So I'm going to cut what I call an inverted top out of it. You know those little toys you used to have as kids and you roll around and tops? I'm sure some of you don't know what those are. So I'm going to go in at a 45-degree angle, cut around, and I can feel the core in there. And let's see how easy it pops out. And then I pop it out. And this is what I have. I have most of my tomato left that I can use for everything. So I'm going to use my Santoku. And if I cut this way, it's wobbly. So what I want to do is put it this way, because now I got a safe area to cut with. Cut down. And now this is your choice. You could take the seeds out or leave them in. I'm going to leave them in. I'm going to make enough room on my cutting board again so that I don't have to worry about anything. So we're going to go ahead and cut some nice slices. You can hear my chicken over there too. And then I'm going to arrange that on my salad. And that'll give me the excuse to go over and flip my chicken over. There we go. A little bit more popping, a little bit more going on over there. So I think that's enough for my salad for that. But I have some other things here that are beautiful. I have a beautiful purple pepper, and they're just gorgeous. So I'm going to go back and use my chef's knife. One of the ways I do it is just putting it down again, and then cutting straight through, cutting straight down. And now it's a little wobbly. You know, Weebles wobble, but they don't fall down. But if you have wobbly food, your chance of cutting yourself greatly increases. So I'm going to set it down, cut out the center piece and move that over. And then I'm just going to pop out the rest of the seeds. Seeds are okay for you, but a lot of people don't like them, so we'll move them out. And over to my handy dandy trash bucket. Again, now I got seeds on my board, and using a knife I don't want those there, so I'm just going to slide them over to the side. And now I'm going to make thin julienne slices with it. So the outer layer of the skin on your pepper is sometimes tough. It's really kind of hard to cut through. So I'm going to break my kind of guideline. I'm going to let it wobble a little bit, but I'm going to use my chef's knife. I'm going to pull my fingers back, and then I'm just going to do some nice slices. You notice I'm getting really close over here, and I'm just giving myself room just so that I don't do anything bad. And I'm going to put this on my salad and put it up. Now I have some celery here too. Celery is one of those items that everybody wonders about. Now the leaves are actually edible. So I'm going to do a quick slice off the top. Get rid of the bad parts. And then I can do one of two things. I can either just slice the ribs, or by holding it all together using a chef's knife, I can go all the way through and get some beautiful celery. And because I'm cutting up at the top, I don't have to worry about slicing through the ribs or anything. This will work great in my salad. So let's add that to it. And I usually do add the green leaves in. Nobody really remembers exactly what those are. They look at me like, really? What kind of lettuce is that? And I just kind of smile and say, it's a different lettuce. It's okay. Clean off our board again. And check my chicken, which is going fairly well here. Now I have an onion to slice. Now, onions grow this way, and the roots hold everything together. So that's very important when you do work with an onion. Chef's knife again. Notice out of all these knives that I've used this once, and I've used this once. I'm going to slice through the onion, put it down. Again, making it safe for you to use when you're cutting, kind of making a cage with my hands, and then I'm going to cut straight through. Now there are two different things I can do with this. I can cut this into a julienne, or I can cut it into a dice. We already julienned, which was this kind of size. So what I'm going to do is dice this. And I'm going to let the onion do the work for me. So I'll peel off the outer shell. And again, I'm back to my chef's knife. This is my favorite knife. I have my onion flat on the board, palm down, and what I want to do is make some lines horizontally this way. And that's why my hand is flat. Hand flat, kind of go through. There we go. I'm going to go down vertically. I had to think about that, horizontal, vertically. I just know I got to draw lines in it. Some of the sections might come out. They might not. Put it together. Really important. Tip on the board, fingers pulled back. I'll say it 1,000 times. I probably heard it 100,000 in culinary school. Let the knife do the work. Now, I don't want a lot of onion, so I'll just leave it right where it's at. Pick it up, and I'm going to drizzle it down this side again also. Why on this side? A lot of people will be able to pick and choose parts that they want, and those piece parts will make their salad their own. Go ahead and drop it over. And trash as I go check my chicken. Now it's been sizzling here a while, and it is pretty thick, but I do want to check and see if it's done yet. So, take a knife, and now my paring knife, once I do this, I can't use again except for the chicken. Got a couple minutes left on that, so I'll put it there. So the salad's almost done, except for the dressing and for the chicken. So let me get the dressing ingredients over here, and we will make a great dressing. I have some blue cheese, and I have a little mess. My husband would say, I'm cooking, there's a mess. We have some mustard, and we have some extra virgin olive oil. So I'm going to start with about a cup of blue cheese. I'm making a blue cheese vinaigrette. And then I'm going to add a tablespoon, a glug, a dollop of honey mustard. Now, if you don't have honey mustard, you can make your own by just mixing mustard and honey together. Very simple. There's no big formula for it. That's just how it's done. Then I want to add in my red wine vinegar, and I'm going to add in about 1/3 of a cup or more. Now, do I measure this? I don't. I've made salad dressings for so long that I don't measure. But if you need to, go ahead and get out a measuring cup and do it. And then I'm going to mix this together as it drizzles down the side. And what I want to do is get that going before I make an emulsification. That's when I add the oil into it. And I think my chicken's almost done, so I'm going to turn it off in this pan and let it rest. And now I'm going to drizzle in my olive oil. Now, one of the things you can do when you're whisking is you can take a towel and you can get it damp, and you can wrap it around the edges or put it right underneath your bowl. And I'm just going to whisk in until I get the taste that I want. And I'm going to whisk it in slowly, and that way it will incorporate. And if you notice when I'm whisking, here's another little tip. I just put my arm out like this. That's going to tire me out. If I put my arm in and wing it in, I'll be able to sit here and whisk almost all day long, though I don't want to. So let me get some more in here so we can have some chicken salad pretty quick. Little bit going. There we go. I think that's about good. Now, the way to taste salad is to use a little bit of the salad dressing is to taste with a little bit of the greens and go in and do that. So I have my greens. I love blue cheese. I'm thinking the salt and pepper is already good in there from the blue cheese. I'm going to let that be. Move this out of the way a second. I know there seems to be an awful lot of cleanup when you do this. One of the things that you can do is just have a compost bucket and a few other items that are available. So I'm going to bring my cutting board over and grab my chicken off of here. I'm going to let it rest a little bit, and we're going to talk about cutting chicken. There's all kinds of ways that you can cut chicken. You can just chunk it up. You can shred it. You can slice it on a bias. You can just leave it whole. For this salad, what I want to do is I want to slice it on a bias. A bias means slicing it on an angle, and this angle will let you fan that out over your food. It'll make it very pretty and make it really nice and easy to let everybody get their own piece part of it. For this one, though, I can either, use my Santoku because of the little divots in it with the air pockets, or I can use my chef's knife. Kind of depends what I want to do. Now for me, I'll use my chef's knife because I have short hands, and what I want is I have a little bit more clearance here so I'm not hitting my knuckles on the board. That can be important. Maybe it's not for you, but it's one of those things that you can choose. The other thing about knives is a chef's knife comes in many sizes. I think they start like at 7 inches and go up to 10 inches. And it's all based upon how big is your arm, how big is your hand, and what's the feel. Now I'm actually still using my chef's knives from school because I got very comfortable with them. So that's where I keep it. So let's cut into this chicken here. And I'm going to go in on a bias. And I'm going to start on the smaller end of the chicken and go up to the fatter end of the chicken. We'll see where we're going here. You notice I'm just kind of cutting through it. It might break apart a little bit, but that's okay. Got to watch it because I don't want my fingers to get in the way. Now I have the chicken, one breast done, and I'm going to use my knife, walk over so it's easier, pick it up, gather the pieces together, and I'm just going to set this right over the top of my salad. There we go. Beautiful piece. I'm going to let this other one rest just a little bit more. Wash my hands here a bit because they're a little sticky. Does happen. Now, one of the things that we're going to do here is we're going to be able to dress this salad. I also have some bread here that we can use with it. We could have added avocado to it. This one's a little stiff, so I decided not to open it up. So what I need to do is get my dressing, and we'll take our time and drizzle a little bit over. Now it's in a big bowl, and if I go ahead and pour this, it'll just really go fast because that's what usually happens to me. So I'm going to whisk it again. And then I'm just going to take my time and do a nice little drizzle. So we'll drizzle and let everybody have a little bit of the great, beautiful salad that we have. Just to give it a nice gloss so that when you set it out for your guests, you have this beautiful presentation. And what you can do is leave just a little bit of this dressing out on the side, so if somebody wants more, because you know somebody's going to dig right into it and take all the dressing, that you have it. All right. And one of the things that I like to do is I like to finish with a little bit of salt. The salt crystals would just make it a little bright. You'll get that nice little chunk when you do it, and we're able to just drizzle it here. So what we have here, using 3 different knives, the other one's over there, is a summer chicken salad that we have. And I do have another knife sitting here that I completely forgot about, and this is a serrated knife, which is used for cutting bread and slicing it. So let's slice a couple pieces of bread here. And one of the things with a knife that's long, you want to use the knife. Pretend you're one of those guys sawing a tree down back and forth in, I don't know, those 1930s Westerns, and just draw your knife through to cut. Don't do this, because you'll tear it all up. But if you go back and forth, you'll get some nice, beautiful slices. There you have it. A farmer's market chicken salad with some fresh bread, and I think you've got lunch or dinner in a few minutes. We'll be coming back with how to take care of your knives and how to sharpen them. I get lots and lots of questions about how to sharpen my knives. Like, what are those chefs doing when they do this? Well, knives are pretty tricky in some ways. What a chef is really doing is honing the knife and not sharpening it. We hone our knife on a regular basis because we're always cutting on a board, they're going through meat, through vegetables, there's friction on it. And when a knife is fully honed and sharpened, all the piece parts are together. When you start to use a knife, they get a little scraggly and microscopic little edges start to come in. And it sort of looks like that. But when you hone it, you bring them together and it makes it smoother. So we use a steel. The longer the steel, the easier it might be for some people. And it is something that you want to practice. You practice using the full edge of the knife from beginning to end. And you want to do the same number of strokes on one side that you do on the other. Otherwise, actually, your knife could become unbalanced. So you start with the heel of the knife and slide it all the way down, and you come in and slide it all the way back. Probably 4 or 5 times on a knife will get it honed. And if you notice, my hand is far away, it's gripping, and the guard is on here. A couple times this way, a couple times this way. And your knife gets to be a lot sharper. But before you use it, you should always take a cloth, be safe, blade in the other direction, and wipe off the microscopic shavings that you have. You can find these recipes and more on my website at www.chefterryreese.com or Facebook. I'd like to thank my friends at Smart Chicken for the organic chicken and for Visser Farms for all the great produce. Until next time, I'll see you then, and good eats. Thanks for watching today's show, Tips, Tricks, and Techniques. Remember, at the dinner table, much love is expressed. Life-giving conversations encourage children to believe in their unlimited potential, embrace high expectations, and seize every opportunity to achieve success in school, work, and life. Learn more about Believe to Become at IBelieveBecome.org.